Hi everyone, Daljeet Peterson here from astrolab21.com. And I just wanted to jump on and do a quick video about the new moon that's happening in Aquarius today, right now, as a matter of fact. At the time of this recording, it's February 11th, 2021 at about 10:30 Pacific Standard Time. And the moon's about 1 degree away from exact conjunction with the sun in Aquarius at 23 degrees. So the new moon in Aquarius. And I don't normally do videos on the new moons or the full moons. I usually just do my monthly seasonal forecast. You know, every time the sun moves into a new sign, I'll do a forecast for the month. But this particular new moon is just really exciting and really powerful. I was meditating on it this morning as I was doing my sadhana, my daily spiritual practice, which involves, yoga and meditation. And, as part of my personal practice, I always set an intention at every new moon. I set an intention for that month ahead, try to really focus on what this lunation is trying to bring into my life. I consider where it's occurring in my own personal chart and, use it as a way of sort of keeping time and keeping me on track over the course of the year and just tuning in with the rhythms, the lunar cycle. I think it's really important to ground yourself in the reality of this relationship of the sun and the moon, this dance that they do on a monthly basis. And, I was meditating on, this Aquarius new moon and, all the Aquarian energy that we've been talking about really for the last few months, right? Starting back in, late December when we had the great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius at 0 degrees Aquarius. And it was a big deal. It was a really significant event, right? It's the beginning of a new 20-year cycle in Aquarius. It was also the beginning of a new 200-year cycle where these great conjunctions are going to occur in air signs for the next 200 years. And it really felt like this initiation into something that, collectively at a planetary level, it feels like we're moving into a new phase, a new era, right? A new Earth being born. A lot of people are talking about this. And of course, it resonates with the notion of the age of Aquarius that we've been sort of on the cusp of since the 60s, really. And there's many dates given for when it actually officially starts. But regardless, we are definitely on the precipice of a new age, a new era that is unfolding. And so with the Great Conjunction, we felt it. And I think since the sun moved into Aquarius last month, so we've been in this Aquarius season with the sun's transit through the sign. And now since then, the sun, the moon, Mercury, and Venus have all joined up with Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. So we have a 6-planet stellium, right? There's literally a planetary party going on in the sign of Aquarius right now. I'm just going to bring up the chart so we can have a look at that. And you can see here, here it is. Here is this stellium we're talking about in the sign of Aquarius. We've got the sun and the moon just about to form that new moon conjunction. You've got Mercury retrograde. We've got Venus exactly conjoined Jupiter. We've got Saturn here. Everyone coming to the party except Mars. Mars decided to sit this one out. Mars and Uranus over here in Taurus kind of doing their own thing and actually forming a square to this stellium, which we'll talk a little bit more about how that might affect us over the course of this month and what we can expect from that energy. But in general, this stellium is really popular, really powerful, I should say. Let's just have a look at what's going on in the sky, right? So here we are on Earth, and we can see the moon hiding kind of behind the Earth here. So at a new moon, of course, the moon is exactly aligned with the sun. We've got Mercury and Venus and Jupiter and Saturn, all from our perspective in this part of the sky that we refer to as Aquarius. Of course, this really began when Jupiter and Saturn sort of conjoined here at the early degrees of Aquarius last year. And since then, all these other planets now have moved for us into this sign. So what's going on? I think it seems as if, Jupiter and Saturn, this big, new cycle that they were kicking off, and now Mercury and the Sun and the Moon and Venus are coming and going, hey, we heard about this big deal, this great conjunction going on in Aquarius, and we want to participate. We want to help spread the word. We want to initiate this new energy that is being brought forth at this time, this big cycle that we're under. So that's what's being represented here in this great stellium, right? And they've all recently had an encounter with Pluto here in Capricorn, which was really the cause of so much of our stress over the course of the year 2020. But they've all kind of been purified by that process and come under that transformational energy. And now we're all moving into Aquarius together with a sort of new intention, right? And so with this new moon, there is this real opportunity to set a new intention. And it feels like, as I was contemplating my own intention that I was setting this morning for this month, I get the sense that it was just bigger than 1 month's intentional purpose, right? Considering I thought of the fact that, this year we're actually going to have 2 full moons in Aquarius during the summer during Leo season, because the first one occurs at the very early degrees when the sun is going to be at about 1 degree of Leo, and then we're going to get another one when the sun's at the end of Leo sometime in August. So what we're initiating here with this new moon in Aquarius now will bring rewards, most likely. The intentions we set at this time could come to fruition for us, 4 months from now during Leo season. And it just feels like, there's just so much energy, as we can see in this chart, right? When you have, we got Venus conjunct Jupiter. We got the 2 great benefics, right? This is such a powerful configuration just in its own, right? Like Venus, love, relationships, what we value, getting in the energy of Jupiter, of the great expansion and the philosophical and the higher mindset, like bringing higher values to our relationships. And I really thought about, I always refer back to, when I think of Venus, we think of love and relationship. It always starts with your relationship to yourself. And I have this idea of, really developing a sense of your own self-love. I think that's a really important lesson that we're all getting the opportunity to incorporate at this time. And, we've got Mercury retrograde, and it's going to make a retrograde conjunction with Venus and then with Jupiter over the course of the next few days, over the week. So, we're going to be a chance to sort of review our ideas, how we communicate in our relationships, how we express our love, our value, our appreciation, our beauty, our aesthetic, all of these in this Aquarius way, right? Certainly our peer and groups are going to come to the forefront, right? Aquarius rules our social interactions. It's a very social sign. And of course, depending on where you have it in your chart, and maybe we'll take a look at, each of the rising signs and get a sense of what's going on with this stellium, where it's showing up, because that's what's really important about knowing your own chart. Where is this happening for you, right? I know myself as a Sag rising, this is all in my 3rd house, right? Which is communication, information, learning, expressing. And, I have literally about 10 books open around the house all at once. I'm reading 10 books at once. I can't seem to get information enough right now. All of this energy, this Aquarian energy in my 3rd house is just like, I'm like a sponge for new information. I'm working on a couple of longer in-depth videos, and I'm doing research and, Mercury retrograde, going back over a lot of information, double checking and really digging deeper into it all, because I want to be able to share the message, the gift, right? We always think about Aquarius. I think about it as the gift. It's where we can give back to society. So something to, maybe meditate on as you consider your intentions under this Aquarius new moon. What is your gift? What do you have to give back to your society, to your community, to your peer group, right? What do you have to offer that you've developed, that you've accrued over the hard work you've done, and that you just want to share? You want to give back. This is one of the great messages of, I think, this new moon that we're having. So I invite you to consider that. So now let's just do a quick preview of where this stellium is going to show up for you personally based on your rising sign. And we'll go through the 12 rising signs quickly and just maybe get a brief preview of what we might expect for this lunation for the month. So if we start with Aries rising here, well, of course, that's going to put this stellium up here in your 11th house. Aries rising, you're the naturals of the zodiac. You get the 11th house, the 11th sign, everything lines up. So for you, this idea of the gift you have to give back to your peer group, to your social network, to society, within the community, there's something on offer here, right? Of course, if we consider that, we do have this square from Mars and from Uranus over here, which is coming from Taurus, which is in your second house. So there may be some conflict over what you value, right? Some money and the resources that you have to provide this gift, to get more involved and to do more in your community. You may have to figure out a new value equation, perhaps. Okay, so let's then look at Taurus Rising. So if we have Taurus Rising, that means this stellium is going to be occurring in your 10th house of career, of your fame, of your reputation, a very public place for this stellium right now. You're probably getting a lot of attention in your workplace, in your work environment. There's a lot of focus on you right now. You're sort of getting a chance to shine, to be the star, to really innovate. You're always, Taurus rising with that Aquarius 10th house, you tend to be very innovative in your approach to your work and how you show up in the professional sphere. Probably a lot of entrepreneurial spirit to Taurus risings with that Aquarius 10th house. So if you have an idea for a new venture, some new business venture, maybe a great time to launch that, at least set the intention for it and see what manifests over the next, say 4 to 6 months as we move towards those full moons that we're going to have this summer. Of course, here with you, Taurus risings, you've got this square from Mars and Aquarius and Uranus coming from your first house. So there's some relationship between how you actually physically are showing up in the world, your sense of self, your presentation, right? Your rising sign, Taurus, is very energized right now with this recent Mars-Uranus conjunction. You have there's a real empowerment to your sense of self, your presentation. But that's in the square aspect to this stellium up here, this Aquarian energy that's saying, we've got something big that we want to get done in the world. Let's find ways to innovatively do it. And if you can harness that Taurus first house energy, if you can show up in this Uranus very innovative way, there's this sort of mutual receptivity to this Uranus because it's the ruler of Aquarius, right? So it wants to promote all of this. It's sort of joining that party, if you will. It's almost like it's the host of the party. Like, I can't be there, but you guys can all party in my house kind of thing. It's kind of what's going on with this. And then Mars in Taurus, very practical. Very lots of energy for self-improvement and for really showing up. I would expect for Taurus risings, this is really a powerful new moon, powerful configuration with this square occurring on your cardinal axis, right? It's on your first and your 10th house, two very powerful parts of the chart. So any Taurus rising out there, let me know how this might be showing up for you. I'd be really curious. So if we move forward now, let's try Gemini Rising. Okay, so with Gemini Rising, we get the stellium. We get the stellium occurring up here in your 9th house. right? So what's going on with Geminis? Well, this is about your spirituality, your philosophy, your religious sense, your inspiration, your personal, your own personal guru, right? Where are you learning your wisdom? You know, what you're getting almost a sense of, like, it's a very enlightening type of configuration, right? Because our Gemini risings are all going to have that Aquarius ninth house. You're very innovative in your approach to higher learning, spirituality, foreign travel, or influence from foreign ideas. All of these things are really lighting up for you in this huge Aquarius stellium right now. And of course, that square for you is going to happen into your 12th house. So Taurus in the 12th, something more internal, I think. You're likely having this, with this Mars transit of your 12th house, there's some real deep internal process that's churning within you. Unconscious, subconsciously, below the surface. You probably have been sort of thrown back on yourself a little bit in the last month or two. Certainly this Aquarius, or this, I keep saying that, keep calling Uranus Aquarius. Got Aquarius on the brain. This Uranus-Mars conjunction that occurred for you last month, just an internal intensity, right? And so, you know, you think about the spirituality of the 12th house and the 9th house. There's this spiritual connection. So I would imagine a lot of Gemini risings are having some sort of spiritual renewal right now. So maybe setting an intention for starting a new spiritual practice, really deepening your research, you know, maybe going back to school, getting another degree, higher education, right? All 9th house affairs, and doing it in a very unusual way, in an innovative way, innovating how you learn, how you think. Okay, so let's move on to Cancer rising. Sorry. Just learning this innovative annotate software. It's a little clunky, but I'll get it figured out. All right, so Cancer rising. Well, that throws this stellium in your 8th house, right? So what's going on here? Very deep, intense relationship energy here. This is where we go really deep, take our deep dive into everything that we want to relate to. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a person, whether it's a subject, whether it's a thing, whatever it is, wherever your 8th house is the house of really deep intensity. The house of sex, death, rebirth. It's that Scorpio house, right? It's the house of, you know, intense, dark sexuality. So for our Cancer rising folks, this is a really intense configuration, I would have to presume. Of course, we would consider that with all this happening in your 8th house, the square now comes to the 11th. So you're getting this square energy from your peer group, your society, your community, is something about how you're connecting to those around you, or sharing your gift, as we talked about, 11th house. Something much deeper, and there might be some conflict about how you're showing up in your peer group, or there could be a need to really go deeper with some of these maybe more superficial relationships, or a great sudden change in your social interest based on some newer, deeper exploration, or some way that you're relating deeper in your personal relationship, your romantic or sexual relationship, or some real intense partnership. You know, any of those energies really going to be called to go really deep for our Cancer rising folks. Very intense, emotional month, I would expect. So just be aware of that, and be aware of anything that's coming up. It's kind of like some shadow work, having all this light in that 8th house, really encouraging you to go deep and really investigate what's going on. Okay, So we'll move on. I'm trying to keep these videos a little shorter, and I'm on the clock. I'm in the middle of working on another show, and so I'm kind of moonlighting right now, literally, as we're talking about the moon. So anyway, moving forward, let's look at our Leo Rising friends. So what's going on with Leo Rising? Of course, this is showing up in your 7th house of relationships. So Leo Rising folks, a lot of energy here with your one-on-one relationships, your personal your marriages, your significant others, your business partnerships. I always talk about anything you say is my partner, my lover, my husband, my wife, my best friend. Those are all 7th house types of relationships. So relationship energy is really at the forefront for you. You're really going to have this opportunity to recommit, to double down, to really, intensify probably a lot of the relationships and to innovate your relationships. This Aquarius energy, right? And as Leo Risings, you're attracted to, when having Aquarius on your 7th house, you are just attracted to Aquarian type people, Uranian type people, innovators, right? Iconoclast, edgy, rebellious, right? So there's getting some real energy to this sector of your chart. Of course, we'll see that with the 7th house, you're getting a square to your 10th. So there could be some conflict or tension between your relationship and your work life, right? You're getting this real, a lot of energy with this transit of Mars and Uranus going through your 10th house of career, your Taurus 10th house, that really practical, hardworking part of you that's really stimulated. But there's this square energy may bring up some tensions between your private, your home life, and your work life, your relationship and your work. Having to find a balance between those two could be a real important lesson or intention or focus for you during this month. And as I said, this lunation really is triggering a year long, it feels like, a much longer anyway, energy pattern that we're initiating here with this super powerful new moon. Okay, so with that, let's move on and let's talk about Virgo Rising. And with Virgo Rising, the stellium here is occurring. Again, I did it wrong. Why is that happening? There we go. Got to get my circles and my lines right here. Virgo Rising, appropriately, this is happening in your 6th house, the Virgo house, right? You have Aquarius on the 6th. So this is a real opportunity to really take a look at your daily routines, your health regime, your diet and exercise program, as well as, like I said, your workaday life, your day-to-day work life. Something also, the 6th house really calls us to get grounded in the here and now. Something I really just tried to incorporate into my understanding of what the 6th house is, which I really like. It's like really being present. What is that daily, when we're in the flow of what we do, our work, right? We get real present. We can really get dialed in, right? That flow state. That's what we want. Or when we're doing a yoga or exercise or working out or running, whatever we do, it's like you get that flow going. You get really dialed in and present. So lots of great opportunity and energy for Virgo Rising folks to really retool or really refocus on that part of your life, your health, your well-being, your everyday, your workaday life. Now, we would see that is getting a square. Darn it. Sorry. Why is that not working? There we go. That's getting a square from the 9th house. So now you're getting this Mars, Uranus, Taurus energy from your 9th house, your philosophical mindset, right? Maybe that there's some influence here, like inspiring you to go deeper, to expand, to maybe add a spiritual dimension to your everyday life. Maybe to spiritualize your exercise program or your diet regime, calling you to a deeper meaning, more wisdom, to how you go about your everyday life. Okay, and again, I'm going just really quick here. I'm just trying to give a gestalt for each of these risings. I'm not really doing a deep dive, so I'm just kind of winging it, honestly, just whatever kind of this comes up for me as I really consider this. I didn't prepare very much. I wasn't intending to do this video. Like I said, I was just so moved and inspired by the energy I was feeling that I wanted to just jump on and share this with you guys. So, all right, moving on. We're halfway through Libra Risings. So what's going on with Libra Risings? Well, this is all happening in your 5th house of creativity, of self-expression, of romance, of love affairs. Like, this is a fun time for Libra Risings, right? I mean, all this energy inspiring you to be creative, to be self-expressive, to be theatrical, right? To put yourself on display, to really enjoy the pleasures of life. You know, 5th house, the house of pleasure, the house of, like I said, romance, the house of children, right? If you have children in your life, this would be a great month to really focus on that relationship to your children. There's some opportunity is presenting itself to innovate, to change how you might be relating in some significant way. So be open to that. But also, you know, it's the child within us too. It's not just our biological children, but we all have that child within, that playful nature that you really want to be able to express. You're getting so much opportunity with all of this Aquarius energy to really develop that sense of playfulness. Of course, for you, Libra Rising folks, this square is coming from Mars and Uranus and Taurus over in your 8th house, right? So that something about that depth that we talked about, that 8th house intensity. Maybe, you know, this, to me, it's like almost like, I always think about the 8th house with like that Kundalini energy, that really intense sexuality. Stimulating your 5th house of creativity, maybe there's some opportunity to explore your sexuality in a little deeper way, right? Especially with that Taurus energy on your 8th house and having Uranus there, you may be experiencing some sudden new interests in how you relate in a deep, intense sexual way, and that Mars energy coming through there as well. Worth exploring. If you feel that coming up for you, be creative with it. Be open. Be innovative. You know, because, you know, Libra Rising's relationships are always an important part of life and the orientation for Libra Rising. So something to consider there. Okay, let's keep moving forward here. Let's get to our Scorpio Risings. All right, so for Scorpio Rising, well, we're going to see our Aquarius stellium. Well, that's happening in your 4th house. House of home, the house of your foundation, your roots, your sense of self, right? This is really an opportunity to really, I mean, for a lot of people, this could literally mean a change in, considering a change in location, a change in home, moving, right? Or some innovative renovation to your home and to your home environment, a beautification with that Mars or with that Venus energy there, right? Or, you know, often we can also see this occurring on a much more internal level. Well, you know, the 4th house is our physical home. It's also our sense of self, our sense of being grounded in our own ego, our own personality, our own emotional security. So issues around self, around place, around roots, around foundation, family issues could be coming up for you guys, for you Scorpio Rising folks, with all of this intense Aquarius energy. You know, you tend to have very non-traditional family and home lives anyway, by virtue of your Scorpio Rising and having Aquarius on the 4th house. So, you know, feel free to contemplate some more innovative types of things. All right. Let's keep moving. Oh, before we move on, we should consider for our Scorpio Rising friends where this square is coming from our 2 pals over here in Taurus, Uranus and Mars. So this is showing up for you guys in your 7th house. And again, this is intense because for Scorpio risings, this square is happening on one of your angles, right? Your 4th and 7th. So relationship issues could be in conflict with your home life. There's something about that home and relationship balance. So for people who, have kids or a really chaotic house right now, you've got kids at home and homeschooling and all that's been going on, and that your house seems a little chaotic. It's literally a crowded house. And then there's this real intensity coming up for you in your personal one-on-one relationships. So couples could be really feeling that tension between keeping a stable and innovative home life and keeping that relationship exciting and innovative. And there's, this whole period for our Scorpio rising folks is really an intense. Relationships are coming under intense focus for at least this month, and of course this whole transit of Uranus over its 7-year period through your house of relationships is really calling you to innovate. You might just have sudden desires for new relationships or new ways of relating with your long-term partner. But just be aware of trying to find that balance between your relationship, keeping that excitement, that sensuality, Taurus, and keeping the home innovative and fun and exciting. All right, so now we'll get to Sag Rising. And as I said, I am a Sag Rising, so this is really personal for me. Stellium for Sag Rising folks is taking place in our 3rd house of communication, of information, of self-expression. As I said, I really literally have no less than 10 books open right now that I'm moving from book to book and reading them. Like I said, going over old information. Mercury retrograde as a Sag rising. I'm also a Gemini sun, so Mercury retrogrades really affect me in a very powerful way. But all of us Sag rising folks, we're getting this opportunity to really innovate how we think, how we learn, how we communicate, how we express ourselves, how we're showing up. All of this work I'm doing with this channel, I'm writing articles and creating videos and researching. It's just so exciting. I can't keep up with it. I can't seem to do enough. All these ideas and downloads I'm getting are just they're so exciting and so intense, right? And so for Sag rising, we're getting this square energy from our 6th house, Taurus, right? So how is this information affecting our daily work routine, our day-to-day lives, our health and wellness and well-being, right? I'm personally finding my personal sadhana, my personal spiritual practice, which I do every day, about an hour and a half to 2 hours of yoga and meditation, has really gotten really intense over the last few months. Certainly this Uranus transit is really taking me much deeper in my spiritual practice. And this Mars energy in Taurus, I'm really getting this embodied sense, like really getting into the physical nature of my body and spiritualizing it, right? So I'm feeling this really powerfully, this connected energy, this 3rd house to the 6th. A lot of the thoughts and thinking that I'm doing is really about how I can be healthier. Part of my intention for this new moon was to really even go deeper with my diet program. I want to really be more aligned with a social awareness to what I'm eating. How does it affect the earth? Where does it come from? Something that I've kind of ebbed and flowed with over the last few years, and I'm really committing right now in Aquarius new moon to really be much more conscious, to eat consciously, and to be aware of where my food comes from and the health and well-being and my impact on society. So just sharing that on a personal note with my Sag rising friends. Love to know how that's showing up for you in different ways. All right, so let's keep going. A couple more signs to get through. Our Capricorn and Aquarius folks, very patient. All right, Capricorn. We have the stellium, of course, in your second house of resources, of money, of values. Like, boy, Capricorns are going to cash in. Cha-ching, right? Like, there's something, if you're one of these Cap Rising folks that's been invested in the stock market, and maybe you have some Bitcoin, right? Aquarius in your second house of values, you're probably pretty innovative when it comes to your finances and resources. Man, this is something to really keep focused on and set your intention for. How am I maximizing my resources? What I value? Is there a way that I can innovate it? Should I be looking at different modalities, different ways of either earning my income? There's likely some opportunities for like a raise or to make much more money for Capricorn Rising folks this month with, Jupiter, Venus in your money house, Saturn grounding it all. This would be interesting. Capricorns who, you value your resources, right? You're very practical, you're very grounded. Of course, this square, as we see, is coming from our buddies over in Taurus for you guys in your fifth house. So creativity, self-expression, like we talked about, that childlike nature coming into conflict with the values, with the resources. Maybe there's, you want to have more fun and be more creative or self-expressive. There's something you want to do that's maybe more childlike and a little impulsive, and you're worried about, can I afford to do it? Maybe there's a way of integrating these two energies that will allow you to innovate, to be more aware and open to how you're using your resources, and to allow yourself to use those resources to be more creative, to be more self-expressive, to have more fun, right? To maybe plan a romantic getaway, something that is really exciting and invigorating. That's stimulation, getting that Taurus fifth house energy amplified for you. Okay, there you go, Capricorn. So that could be, sounds fun, actually. All right, so let's now move forward to Aquarius Rising. Now, man, this is really happening for you Aquarians, isn't it? I mean, you guys are just blowing up, Aquarius Risings. Like, all of this focus, it's all about you. And it's okay to be all about you, to be focused on yourself, particularly this month. Like, this isn't, you're getting your Saturn transit across your first house. It's a really intense time. Like, when we consider the Saturn transit of the 12th through the 1st, it's really, every 30 years, this transit for you is a really major life-changing event or events. We tend to really reinvent ourselves over this period. So you're in this process of reinventing yourself, Aquarius Rising. And this stellium is really giving you a super boost this month. Like, your intention really has to be about, who am I? Who am I becoming? Who am I evolving into? You're having your birthday this month. Or no, I shouldn't say that if you have Aquarius Sun anyway. But this is a really important time to be focused on yourself. And don't be afraid to be a little selfish. You have permission. You're getting permission from the cosmos to be focused, to be self-centered. And that doesn't have to be a negative connotation. That can mean literally that. I'm centering in myself. I'm really getting grounded in who I am, how I'm showing up in the world. You may find that you want to innovate your appearance. You might change your hairstyle, or new clothing, change your wardrobe. Lots of ways of innovating. The Aquarian risings are very well put together as it is. If we consider for Aquarius Rising, the square from Uranus and Mars coming from Taurus in your fourth house. So there could be some conflict between this sense of self and this renewal you're going through and your domestic, your family life. Maybe some conflict with family that you're dealing with. but you need to somehow find, with all squares, it's all about resolving the energy. There is common ground. You've got two fixed energies that you're trying to work out and resolve. We've got, earth and air in terms of the elements of this square. But, you're likely having some real focus and energy on your home. Your domestic life is coming under some sudden changes that you can expect during this Uranus transit of your fourth house, energized by Mars, but there's an energy to really have some focus and do some work, put effort out into whatever you're interested in home, right? And Taurus, Aquarius Risings with Taurus on their fourth house, sense of home is very important, very comforting, very sensual and beautifying the home. So is there a way to, have that reflect this changes that you're going through personally, how you're showing up with your home or your family? Something to consider. Okay. And so let's finish up with, last but never least, our Pisces Rising friends. All right, so what's going on for Pisces Rising? Well, this Aquarius stellium for you guys is happening in your 12th house. So this is a very private, internal process. Likely a very, 12th house is a challenging house, but you're Pisces Rising, so you know all about the 12th house. You're attuned to that Piscean frequency. Your world filters through that sense of the ineffable, the oceanic, the collective, the oneness, the connection to all that is. Source energy, right? It's the most spiritual and evolved of all the zodiac signs, right? The 12th sign. So to have this Aquarius energy stacking up in your 12th house, you're very innovative spiritual thinkers. So really probably taking this month, a lot of just is it's okay to sort of go inward into yourself, really to internalize, really be aware of your dream life. Work, if you don't already do a dream journal, this would be a great month to start one. I think you're getting probably a massive download of cosmic information for all my Pisces Rising dreamers right now, because all of this energy is really stimulating that 12th house, and that is the house, to me, the house of dreams, the house of connection to a higher purpose, connection to source energy, that super spiritualizing force. Now for Pisces Rising, the square that we're getting from Uranus and Mars this month, happening for you in your third house, communication, self-expression, learning. So maybe there is this opportunity to, like I said, journaling, a dream journal would be a great way to channel this energy, to really write and be able to articulate in a very practical way, Taurus, third house, some of these much deeper intuitions and intimations that you may be getting from your dream world, from if you have a meditative practice, really taking that time to go inward, to get centered in yourself, to get really quiet and listen for the messages. What is this Aquarius energy trying to communicate to you in a very deep and profound and meaningful way? Something to consider. All right, well, just before we go, I wanted to bring up this notion of what Aquarius is, right? Like, this is a great way of just meditating on this energy that we're getting, this Aquarius energy, ruled by Uranus, but it's this like freedom and free thinking and progressive, expressive, revolutionary, individualism. It can be unpredictable, right? It can be very sudden. We can get very, it can be extreme. So consider Aquarius, consider this energy. It's a super powerful time. Depending on where it shows up for you, we went through all the 12 rising signs, where it's showing up for you, which house, and really take this opportunity to innovate, to set intention, to really make a bold new venture out into in a new and exciting way. Really tap this Aquarius energy, because it is a really exciting time. It's a really powerful opportunity. I think this is likely going to be, I think, the most powerful lunation probably of this whole year of 2021. And it's one of the more powerful ones I've seen in a long time. You don't often get 6 planets all together at a new moon, and coming off the great conjunction, as I said, with Saturn and Jupiter, this really exciting, innovative energy that's moving through all of us as individuals, changing how we're all showing up, how we're participating in our social groups, and really having a chance to affect a greater social change. I think all the craziness that's gone on for us in the last year, as I said, there's a silver lining to all this. I really, really believe that. I believe all of this has happened and is timed out for a reason. We are initiating this transition to the next level. We're all getting a chance to really level up. You can just feel it. Anyone who's spiritually attuned or just really paying attention, okay? And there's a lot of distraction out there. We can really get bogged down and distracted by a lot of the negativity, a lot of that Capricorn energy that we're trying to move past. Pluto still hanging out in Capricorn, still some work to be done. But for those of us who are kind of on the leading edge and are thinking in a much more progressive mindset, we've already probably done a lot of that structural work, and now we're ready to get out in the world and innovate. And hopefully, as this year unfolds, we're getting some good scientific development in the vaccination process. Hopefully, we'll be able to reintegrate. And when we do, let's do it differently. Let's really show up in a new and more cosmically aligned, socially aware, proactive, progressive, scientifically revolutionary way. Let's really do Aquarius, and let's really do it right. Okay, that's my spiel. That's my pitch for this great, amazing Aquarius new moon. I hope you guys all have a fabulous month, and your new year is getting off to a great start. Lots of videos coming for you guys. I'm working on. I know I've been promising, and I'm super busy with my full-time job, but I'm really trying to get more content out on the channel. Hopefully by the end of this week, I'll have a deeper dive into the Saturn-Uranus square. That's really the big theme for 2021. So I want to really unpack that for you guys. And then, yeah, we'll be doing, we got Pisces season right around the corner. So we'll have that video coming for you in the next few days as well. Exciting time, folks. Astrologically, culturally, spiritually, individually, collectively, planetarily, things are popping off. So I hope you're popping along with it. All right, till next time, Sat Nam, everyone.